We've unofficially explained the absence of one of our members. We'll start the meeting. Let's have the roll call.
Councilman Daley.
Here.
Councilman Leonard.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Buber.
Present.
Mayor Rigsby.
Here.
Councilman Slepescu is absent. There is a quorum.
Thank you. We'll start with the invocation, Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Daley, please stand.
Please join me in prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you for the many ways in which you bless us. We thank you especially in this unique season for, and we have hearts of thanksgiving that we live in a free country in the midst of a very troubled world. And we live in a beautiful little city with friendly people. And we pray that you'll continue to bless our city and to bless the people that live in it. We ask these things in your name. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additions or deletions to the item list?
No, sir.
Now's the time for the public to comment on any non-agenda items. Would anyone like to come forward? I see there's a request for a comment on item number 1. Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing none. We'll move to item number 1. Public hearing, Council Bill O-2015-03, first reading, establishing wastewater collection rates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is for the sewer rate increase. Little background is our sewer treatment plant is in the city of San Bernardino. The city have a joint power authority between the city of Loma Linda, city of San Bernardino, and East Valley Water District, which is serving the city of Highland, to build a sewer treatment plant and operate a sewer treatment plant. There's a two component to the sewer collection system. One is, which is operated by the city, is the sewer collection part, and the second portion is the treatment portion. And city of San Bernardino been doing the treatment on them for us. So what their request is to increase. They did a study that their facility needs some improvement, so therefore they were requesting the sewer rate increase. And for residential will be for the starting January 1st of 2016 will be additional 68 cents per month. The following year will be $1.67. That's the time when they start doing improvement, and the following year will be 70 cents per month for the residential. We mail out as part of Prop 218. It required that we have to send out notice to the resident and the users of the facility. So in addition to send out to the home for people who rent the facility or stay in the home, we also send them out to the property owner. We send out a total of 4,900 notices, and of which we get 32 return for undeliverable, and we get now 25 respond back to protest the increase. So 25 out of 4,900. So staff recommend that the City Council appeal the ordinance number 716, which is the existing one, and introduce the Council Bill 0-2015-03, and on the first reading to establish the new rate for the sewer collection portion of it. Thank you.
So what happens if we say no?
Then the city had to pay out of some other fund.
And you said it's operated as a JPA, but
yes.
we don't have any member that sits on that board or sits on that.
We have meeting every quarters. Every 3 months we have meeting.
So do we?
Who's
have
our representative?
Me.
Okay.
Yes.
So did you protest the improvements?
Well, they have the study that what need to be done and so forth.
In your opinion, is it a?
Oh yes, because they haven't had an increase for a while.
But does it appear that the cost increase that they're passing on to us is something other than a bailout for San Bernardino City finances.
No, sir, because it's a two separate account. They cannot mingle the two together.
Okay.
Yes.
I seem to recall that not too many years ago, I attended a grand opening over there. The new treatment plant, yeah, just across the freeway a little ways.
Are you talking
Off
about,
Richardson, I think.
that's our water treatment plant?
That's our water treatment, water, not sewer.
Yeah.
All right. So that's completely unrelated to what we're talking about.
I'm sorry, this is right behind Target on E Street.
It's
Oh, really?
right next to the San Bernardino Municipal
Animal
Golf Course, and it is
Animal control.
referred to affectionately by golfers at that municipal course as Stinky Creek. And the prevailing winds blow upon the back nine. So it is a very smelly experience.
What are our options? Is San Bernardino our only option that we are locked into as far as treatment?
Yes, and we did, at one time we did a study. It turned out it cost a lot of money to build our own sewer treatment plant. Now, East Valley is in the process of building their own sewer treatment plant because they can have a lot of homes being built. And so,
Where do they come up with the money? Is that the mitigation from the development?
and I keep looking at Steve.
And that's the lawsuit with the airport and the IVDA and all that other stuff too, isn't it?
And the user has not paying for it. And in addition to that, the treatment is supposed to treat the new development and anything upstream. But anything downstream to the sewer treatment plant still have to go to the city of San Bernardino. So this could be interesting.
Are there any implications for all the development we're going through and about to go through? We've got a new VA hospital. We've got potential Cal 88
Well,
project
this is,
and-
well, we still fine. The facility, that's why we, in addition to this routine operating of the sewer treatment plant, when somebody want to build a home, they have to pay $3,500 for capacity fee. So they've been collecting that, and as part of doing any major expansion. Yes.
I just want to build on the mayor's question a little bit. Obviously, the management over the last several years of the city of Loma Linda has not measured up to a standard.
San Bernardino.
What did I say?
You said Loma Linda.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Are we talking about
the
George?
city council. I was talking about the city council. We're talking about Jarvis' salary again? Yeah. No, I was talking about the city council, wasn't it? No, the city of San Bernardino. And I just want to be sure that we don't see similar incompetence in how this facility and process are being managed.
They have the same general manager for this past 20 years. I know her, yes. Because she's probably been general manager for 18 years now. Prior to that, she was a deputy. So,
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. Under background, where you say the proposed rate increase affects the city of San Bernardino only, the city of Loma Linda portion is not being changed. But it looks like it's going up here in Exhibit A, so maybe I'm
Because-
not understanding something.
yes, because 2 years ago we did our own sewer rate study.
So that was from what we voted before?
Correct.
So
Correct.
how come it goes, like this doubles over the course of 4 years? In Exhibit A, it doubles. It seems like that's a lot to go up just in 4 years. Why does something double in 4 years?
I don't have that report. There was a report that was given to you. But right now, just to let you know, our sewer is in deficit. Because a couple of years ago, I went and did a sewer project where instead of putting new pipe, I did a pipe bursting that saved the cost compared to dig and replace. And so I did the projects, and so we went over the money that we have. So right now, our sewer is in deficit. So by doing a rate increase, hopefully within 4 years, I will at a break even.
To get it back to even.
Yes, sir. And because we have an increase in the development, sometimes we have to do an increase in pipe size. So
It is significant over a 4-year period.
Yeah, how do we get to see the finances that back up this need for doubling?
For which one? The city portion or the city of San Bernardino portion? We did both. The city, because we're a nonprofit, we can't just raise any rate. We have to do a study to justify the rate increase.
I remember we did this, was it about 2 years ago?
Yes.
When we studied this and we went through this whole thing. And,
Yes.
But that was for just the collection
Correct.
fees. So what
Yes.
he's saying by putting those are numbers we've already seen. We saw them 2 years ago.
Correct.
But what he's saying is just, there's no changes. All we're increasing is for the process, or the treatment plant, which is City of San Bernardino.
So what we already passed was the doubling.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that's what we're talking about is Exhibit B.
We passed the doubling, shame on us for doing that, and then they're increasing it by $3, which is about a 16% increase.
And again, this is only all for the treatment facility. They have their own separate collection system that they have to they do the increase separately. And this rate is the same as the City of San Bernardino and East Valley Water District.
Now, I understand that Prop 218 allows us to go forward with this if we don't get a 50% written protest. We got a 0.5% written protest, but were the protests compelling, or were they cursory?
What I'd like to know is for those 25 people, right, that wrote in, do we respond to them with any of the documentation, the reasons why?
Well, that was part of the letter. I'm sorry. That was part of the letter that we sent out to them. The
Which
reason why.
gave the reasons why.
Correct.
So,
And that's why this is a public hearing, give them opportunity to come and voice their concern and opinion.
so they knew ahead of time the
Yes,
reasons
sir.
why, but still voiced
So
opposition to it.
were the oppositions just a check mark, I oppose? Or were they, I oppose, and they wrote the Gettysburg Address in explanation?
Yes.
In which case, do we get to see any of those? Yeah,
Would you like me to get them for you?
I would like to see them, yes.
Great.
You know where it is? I can go.
Because I know we can hide behind Prop 218 and say that, 1/100th as many protests were lodged as would be compelling, but I like to look at the argument instead of the, instead of the,
You can listen.
yes, we can do the public hearing. So I will open the public hearing with my trusty gavel. And our first request to speak is from Dick Wiley. Come forward.
Pretty frisky with that gavel.
If you become mayor, you'll be equally
Bringing my own gavel.
empowered by the gavel. Okay.
Thank you. Dick Wiley, and the questions that were on there were some that have been asked of me at our homeowners association, and I said I don't have the answers. A lot of them are saying no to increases because of limited income, fixed incomes, that kind of thing, for even raises in the association dues. So the questions were asked just to find answers to. And I think that from what I'm hearing and what Jarv was telling me, other than like they say, if they're going to do improvements, if they have a breakdown as to what costs are and this kind of thing, that gives a little more incentive for justifying the reason. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm willing to pay it. But, at some point in time, you look at government, the way we're nickel and diming people to death, there will be a time when they can't pay it. And, it looks not against anything with anybody here, but you turn around and say, okay, I give you a 2% raise or cost, and that's what they see. Somebody over here says, I give you another 3%. You add that all up, and that's not just a little nickel or dime. It turns into, dollars or 2 or 3. And if you don't have ones on Social Security, if they're not going to give it up for a year or two, and they're right on the line now, this is where we're forcing, unfortunately, this country into poverty. And I'm not saying it's all of this, but this is a piece of a bigger puzzle. So this is where it's fine when people have the money, they look at it, they're only looking from the shoes they walk in and not sometimes the other side. I think the council here does a good job of looking at the whole community and dealing with it, but when you get some of these on the outside, it can be a different story. So I appreciate your time and efforts with this.
Good point. Mr. City Manager, what would be the total cost to the city if we did not pass this along to the users, but the city paid this fee?
I haven't calculated that. Is the non-residential is not too bad, but is the non-residential that
commercial?
Commercial that based on the water uses, and they use a lot of water. And
Do we have the ability to legally pass the fee along for commercial and retail, but not residential?
I think we're inviting problems.
I think probably you could. The Prop 218 limits you cannot exceed the cost of providing the service.
Correct.
But you're not required to charge the full cost, and it's often the case that our fees do not fully cover the cost. But
So we could pass on along the full cost to commercial and retail properties, but residential, if we wanted, we could say residential, the city will pay for it out of the general fund, and we will not pass that on to the user. I'm just asking the questions. Jarb's like freaking, he's having a heart attack over here.
That would be make my job a little more difficult than to go out and explain to commercial and businesses why they should come to the city.
Yeah, but will they even know? Will they even know? I mean, I get it. I get your point. I'm curious of what the cost would be.
I agree with you. I'd like to know that too. I don't know that business got business.
Business, you pass it along to the consumer.
Right, and the people that are here, it's a way to get people that buy, that don't live here and use the services in the city to help.
Make them pay for it, all right.
Yeah.
well, one of our major businesses is the 2-3 hospital that we have in town, and
This requires a second reading anyway.
Yes.
Right?
Something we get that information before the second meeting? Sure, sure.
I'm going through the protests. There are several organized campaigns. Looks like an equivalent of a form letter that a lot of people have signed on to. There seems to be...
it's a business already.
Yeah, and there's everybody there signed it.
It's one property that have, that have a business in the complex on Redlands Boulevard, so.
Yeah, the protests seem to fall into two categories. One is I protest, just a simple protest. And the others are based on an argument that we're flushing less because we're using less water. Why are we paying more sewer rates? So there seems to be an understanding among those that are protesting that the quantity of water flowing to the sewer treatment plant determines the amount of work needed to cleanse it. So maybe what we need to do is, for the people who make those protests, give a better explanation of why the rate increase is occurring.
And you said the rate increases are occurring because they need to do some upgrades, facility upgrades. It's not based on more work or less work. You're talking about equipment probably needing replacement, facilities needing improvements, that type of thing?
Yes, it's just like we have to replace our sewer pipe or expand the facility, and so.
And one is from JC.
Got to understand the reserve that people have, because we're talking about the city of San Bernardino, and it's a little hard to trust anything with their name on it. Maybe they should just donate the treatment plant to the city of Loma Linda and we could run it. There's a guy who needs another title.
So you said this is largely related to a need to update the facilities.
Maintenance really is if they want to expand, there's a separate part for that. It's part of this, but they've been collecting every time somebody build a new home. They have to pay $3,500 to capacity, and then even that was for expanded facility. So this is just a routine maintenance and the cost, electricity costs, and so forth. So, and yeah, and don't be surprised if East Valley decide to build their own treatment plant. That means that the
Rates go up
the rates will go up.
because it's no longer shared. But then East Valley becomes a competitor to get our business.
Well, no, you can't pump uphill. I mean, it's even more difficult to pump the
So
sewer
let's
uphill.
call Riverside.
You need a pipe to get.
Almost like they have us kind of over a barrel.
To maintain and operate our own sewer treatment plant will cost more.
Ultimately, it would cost more in the beginning, but would it be worth it down the road? I mean, would we have to build something, or could we convert something?
Oh no, we have to build our own sewer treatment plant.
Do we even have land where we could do that?
Yes. We used to have, the reason this all happened is the city, we used to have our own sewer treatment plant. And it turned out that it's not cost efficient for a small city to operate a sewer treatment plant. That's why we went with the 3 agencies to build a sewer treatment plant. And the sewer treatment plant used to be behind the academy in the farm area there.
But see, now you're talking about predicting the future, so you know East Valley's gonna, Highland's gonna go off and do their thing. San Bernardino may just very well implode. Where does that leave us?
Sewer and water is separate from, it's just separate from the whole.
They get their own, do they get a separate tax increment?
Separate funding for operating.
Does it go through San Bernardino?
Well, you go to.
Or does it come from the state or from
Oh,
the assessor?
no, it's still their own. It's enterprise fund. It's just like our water and sewer. It's an enterprise fund that we not bingo enterprise fund with general fund. So.
Since my wife pays the bills, I didn't see the notice. There's some complaining in here that there was no explanation, more of an announcement.
It's a notice of public hearing, and it basically says, this is a notice explaining proposed increases. And it talks about the separation of the charges. The wastewater bill is composed of treatment provided by the city of San Bernardino, and collection provided by Loma Linda. Only the treatment portion of the monthly rates is proposed to be increased. And there's a 15.8% increase over 3 periods. And it's a pass-through. It doesn't explain anything more other than the fact that you have a right to appeal it. So it's not very explanatory about why the costs have gone up, other than San Bernardino raised our rates and we have to pay it. So that's the notice. And one of the protests submitted in duplicate is that San Bernardino doesn't need a bailout from us. So people are misunderstanding. They're thinking that it's like my question, are we bailing out San Bernardino? And I asked the question and got it answered, and they surmised that that was the reason, and they haven't had an explanation.
Yeah, there are people asking for an explanation.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, Mr. Mayor, the city manager was asking me if we need to respond back or if they have a right to be here tonight, and the answer is that the purpose of the public hearing is to allow the public to express those concerns and to receive information back. The notice that was sent under Prop 218 is adequate because
Did
it
we
explains.
do the legal thing? Yes. Are we all within our rights? Yes. However, is it the right thing? No. I think this is one of those things that although it's kind of may seem small, it's sending a message. We're not sending the right message.
There's some confusion. One of them says, when we're using less and less water,
Yeah.
now we're going to have to pay more.
Yeah, we
and
flush
for
less.
our water, which
Yeah.
so they're confusing some issues.
We're being punished for our,
Conservation.
yes.
And that's true for other, like people in LA that they did, that some water agency did increase the rate because of deficit in people using less water. But we're not doing that.
And Redlands is contemplating the same thing.
Yes.
in the
And
press.
I'm trying very hard not to do that because people ask me, how come we don't do that? Or why, it's,
So if we have maintenance to do, then I understand that we need to pony up and pay for the maintenance of what's treating our sewage. The expansion is a little harder sell for me, because shouldn't the people who are
yes.
creating the need for expansion pay for it?
That's why if they build a new home or business, it's a separate fee for that. That's why that for a home it's $3,500 for capacity fee for additional capacity, and that money goes to a separate pot for
All
Well-
we're really
expansion.
paying for is the maintenance.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
but what I'd like to see is the finances that show, here's the cost of maintenance, here's the cost of expansion, here's the pot of money from all of those collections of fees. Does it defray the entire cost, or are they asking us to pay for the expansion? If they are, then there's a problem.
I think we ought to see their financials.
I can read the report that was done. It's a required that they have to have a third-party consultant to prepare a study for.
Because they could
rate increase.
they could be in the same position we are, but they have a very, very conservative director, and they have $85 million in the bank, but they don't want to spend it. And I'm joking. I'm not
We're
trying
not-
to be a jerk, but
We're not raising any taxes because we're not being that way, yeah.
we're, you know what I mean? Like we're a very conservative city, which is great, and that's where we want to stay. But you know, is the same being applied over there? Do they really have the money to do the maintenance, but they're just being
Yeah.
overly cautious? We don't see their financial picture.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we
unlike-
trust that, we
yeah.
trust that Jarb, the chief of our financial expertise,
Mr.
here,
Conservative
he sees it
himself.
'cause he goes to the.
Yeah.
Trust me, this is not easy. Every 3 months we have a heated discussion with East Valley Water District. Asked the exact same question. It was
What bothers me is that I know from my IVDA stuff that East Valley may very well break away after this lawsuit and that other thing, which leaves us holding what? We've just now increased our rates, we're gonna have to increase them again, and we're stuck in a partnership with just us and San Bernardino.
Well, now they'll have room for expansion because East.
Because there are fewer toilets.
No, but we're not worried about expansion, we're worried about maintenance. And they'll have less users, and we'll have to be paying for.
Well, is
all that
is
extra
East
overhead.
Valley going to pump sewage uphill? That violates all the rules of flow.
No, from what I understand, it's supposed to be at Sterling, and so.
So they're only going to create the new one for an uphill.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So-
Anything downhill still have to go to the city of San Bernardino.
Yeah. So where are they building the plant?
Sterling, but I can't remember the cross street. I think it's Sterling.
What's the altitude?
Third,
Sterling and Third.
that's the lawsuits over airport land and IVDA land right there.
And so anything south of that is still have to go to the
So
existing.
currently, all of Highland flows into this sewer treatment plant.
Yes.
And how much of it is going to be amputated by this new diversion of
Anything
sewage?
north of Third and Sterling.
Well, what percentage of the current capacity of the sewer treatment plant is going to be diverted to another?
I don't know. This is what they're proposing. It's supposed to go through, haven't done environmental yet. It's supposed to go to LAFCO. The process is probably take a couple of years, but I haven't seen the report.
Yeah, well.
I'm just cautious.
But really, the question for us at this point is, do we pass on this rate increase, which is about $36 per single-family residence, and who knows, per commercial property? Do we pass that on, or do we pay for it out of our city funds? That's the question. Because the rate's going up.
But we don't know because we don't know what that number could be. That number could be astronomically large, or it could be relatively small.
I guess the other question I have, and maybe you answered this when I was reading, how do the Loma Linda rates, with the increases we're describing, how will our sewage fees compare with the surrounding area, particularly the commercial where we're trying to attract businesses? Are we still competitive, or are we going to start looking like we're more costly?
I don't have the answer for that.
Some of the complaint letters say that our rates are higher than Los Angeles and higher than San Bernardino. Now, that would be an interesting thing to find out. If it's higher than San Bernardino, then we're being taken advantage of, but I don't think so. Do you have information
for treatment, it had to be the same.
Is it the same?
Yes, because
Okay.
it's a joint power authority, so the rate between City of San Bernardino, City of Loma Linda, right now, City of Highland are the same.
But it's the water rate.
And it's,
So they don't get a discount for being exposed to the odors?
no,
Okay.
no. And for the collection portion, it can be different. So,
I'm glad that it's in the city of San Bernardino, frankly, because I don't like the smell of Stinky Creek. So I'm not terribly upset that we've got this agreement with San Bernardino. You think Chino smells bad? This is worse. This is worse.
Yeah, but just because we own it doesn't mean we actually have to have it in the city. That's the beauty of, look at our water, our water wells are actually in San Bernardino too.
But they're uphill from the sewer treatment plant, just in case there's any perking going on down there, percolating. I hope it's not one big, just a open pit.
no, they treat it first and then they dump it to the San River.
Okay. Yeah.
People in Orange County come back.
It's
Orange
not
County
perking
drink.
into the groundwater.
People in the Orange County housewives drink it
Yeah.
after it's processed.
Yeah, well, that's the old saying, flows downhill.
So tonight's first reading, I will bring it back on December 8th, and then we'll try to get the answer.
So I think the public has spoken. I will close more quietly the public hearing.
Should we send something out about the second reading, inviting more people?
It's in there, if you didn't notice, so.
I would hope we respond to people that send in correspondence.
Well-
I mean, regardless of whether or not it's negative or positive, I
But-
would hope that 25, we should be able to respond to 25 people.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good local governance. It's not like, we're a congressman and got 5 million of these things.
Believe it or not, that 4,500 letters,
Yeah.
we put the label and stamp it.
Who had to
ourselves.
lick, lick the stamps?
We used it as fun. And I took it home and I did it myself.
San Bernardino would have hired a consultant to stick them.
San Bernardino would have hired a consultant
Yeah.
on how to lick the stamp.
Well, I think it would be interesting if when we lower the rates, if Prop 218 required us to send out a notice and see if there are any protests. Because remember when we lowered the trash pickup rates by about $5? Nobody complained about that. But that's the better direction. So, okay, we've closed the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the council?
Nothing for us to do.
Just to set the public hearing, set the second reading for December 8th, and then we'll bring back the information for the December 8th.
Does it require a vote to set the?
Yeah, we have to, we're basically, the first reading is not the time to vote on the bill. What we do is we set the second reading, and that's when we vote on the bill.
So the motion is to set the second reading for December 8th,
Yes.
Council Bill 02011503.
There, you
Yep.
just did it. A second.
Yeah, technically, we're introducing the item tonight, and we conducted the public hearing, but the final action will be at the second quote-unquote reading.
We can hold a hearing on that too.
Can we direct staff to bring back information?
Oh, yes, you already did.
Okay?
And if I have information prior to that, I'd be happy to attach it to the staff report for the next one, so this way we have it before that.
Okay, and with the understanding that we would like some kind of a response.
It is appropriate, though, to take an action to introduce and set the second reading.
Okay, so is that included in the motion? In the second?
Yes.
Okay. Then, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there any opposition to the motion? Silence, so that implies unanimity of support
Of support of just what we stated only.
for the motion. For the motion. Okay, item number 2 is public hearing, Council Bill R-2015-39. Does this require opening the redevelopment agency? Or is this R not redevelopment? What does R mean? Resolution, okay, it's not redevelopment, so go ahead.
You don't have one anymore.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, this is a economic incentive agreement between the City of Loma Linda and Spreen Investment Company. Spreen operates the Honda new car dealership as well as the Honda used car dealership on Redlands Boulevard. They have recently entered into discussions to purchase and open a Mazda dealership on the...
Still make Mazdas?
They still make Mazdas. Is that the one that goes zoom, zoom? I don't remember.
They're known for the smile of their front fascia. The front of a Mazda has a big open mouth smile on it. So,
They're happy cars.
and now we're going to be selling smiles.
That's right. So the agreement is between the city and what will ultimately be Spreen Mazda. This is to allow sales tax rebate. We have a couple of other agreements like this that you're fairly familiar with, in the aggregate sum of $700,000 over the course of 20 years. It is a 60-40 split, with the city retaining the 60% of the sales tax, and the tax is applicable only to Mazda new car sales and specifically includes parts, service, used cars, or anything other than manufacturer-provided new car Mazdas. What we're trying to not do is supplement existing Spreen operations or supplement Spreen sales or shift the used car dealership from one place to the other. And the purpose for the split and the 20-year duration for the payback is that we'd like to incentivize Spreen to stay here and to stay successful and not, and Spreen has been a great part of the community, has been here forever, but there are car dealerships that have kind of hopped from city to city as incentives keep getting, they essentially milk the incentive from one city and go to the next.
Realistically, what are their options, though? Because they wouldn't necessarily relocate 2 or 3 cities away, because they more or less lose their
There are,
existing base, so they could go to San Bernardino, which really isn't an option.
there are vacant dealerships in San Bernardino. There's a vacant dealership in Colton, the old Moss dealership. And actually what they're doing is buying the dealership from out of Redlands and bringing it here. It's part of the, what is that, the Chevy, what does Chevy sell over there? They have like 4 or 5 different brands, and they bury the Mazda in the bottom of it and don't really push it. So this is an opportunity to bring this brand to the city. And
Isn't that Bell?
Tom Bell.
Tom Bell. Yeah.
Tom Bell.
Is it an expansion on the footprint or the same space, just, you know, it's...
The plan is to ultimately create a new Mazda showroom and have a true Mazda dealership as part of the operation. They'll start with, they have those trailers and kind of the open space, but they will be operated as 2 separate dealerships.
And do we have similar economic incentive agreements with other auto dealerships or motorcycle dealerships?
We do not have with auto or motorcycle, however, we do have with other companies, an electronics manufacturer, a fuel provider. These are things that we tend to do to and other cities as well, to attract and retain businesses.
In the past, we used to have RDA funding to help for these purposes. And now we don't have the RDA anymore, so we use incentive with the sale tax.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
It's probably normal. I mean, we have a 60-40 with the electronics manufacturer, with a much higher percentage with the fuel company. However, that's, is a much more significant amount. It's not out of line. And from staff's perspective, 60% of something is much better than 60% of nothing.
Or 0% or 1% of nothing, yeah.
Now, we've lost some dealerships over there too. Did they have any kind of economic incentive agreement like the Jaguar dealership? And I don't remember what all was over there.
Audi, Jaguar.
There were several that cycled through there. Actually, right now our dealers have been very, very stable. We've had the Hyundai dealership for at least the last 7 or 8 years. Spreen back to the original entity.
One of the biggest reasons to do this is because once you develop a critical mass of dealerships, then they start luring in customers for each other, and there's the potential to go bigger. For example, the entire old movie theater could become several dealerships. And dealerships are one of the biggest revenue sources for cities, and the bigger they are, the more likely they are to draw in customers. So anything we can do to expand the size of our dealer footprint portends increases in the future.
That is correct. There are synergies between the dealerships and places like the Riverside Auto Center that have the entire spectrum of dealerships. They do tend to not cannibalize, but rather support each other in their sales.
And they're good public citizens too. They're not. Dealerships are a nice freeway frontage for a city.
They're not a huge consumer of municipal resources.
So I'm very supportive.
To say about it.
I'm very supportive, but let's hear the public. Public hearing is open. Any comments? The public agrees with everything we've said.
No car enthusiasts.
We have a taker.
Dick Wiley, I agree with you. I've been pleased with what has been there all along. It hasn't gone downhill. It hasn't gone below 50% of the impressions of this town. So it's been a very good-looking place down there. I think it's ideal with that new interchange type thing that's going, it's an ideal place for it. So there's enough room down there. Hopefully we can keep Mazda's going, and hopefully we don't get into the smog issue. I don't know if they're in with that
Well,
group of cars, but
we came close to getting the Volkswagen dealership a couple years ago. That would have been a poison pill. It went to San Bernardino.
well, we can make it up and say, okay, if you sell that and want to do it that way, then increases go up to counter the cost.
And we had Audi too, and they.
Audi's a good car.
Yeah, but they're manufactured by Volkswagen AG, so they're going. They have the same problems as.
Just don't buy a diesel.
Yeah, it's the diesels. But you never know. You know, maybe they've got devices on everything. Who knows? You never know. Okay, so that's the public. I'll close the public hearing. Any further questions or a motion?
I move Council Bill Resolution -2015-39.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Is there any opposition? I hear no opposition, so that's approved unanimously. We have the consent calendar. What's your pleasure?
I'll move the consent calendar.
I'll make a second.
Okay, any further discussion? Any opposition? Unanimity is the vote. It's approved. Are there any reports of councilmen? Any reports of officers?
Yes, sir. I have a fire department, Battalion Chief Valentine would like to give some announcement on the parade of lights.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just want to say that we're very excited to be able to provide the Parade of Lights to the citizens of Loma Linda. It's the second annual Parade of Lights for this area, and the citizens really seem to enjoy it. We'll be running the parade on December 20th and the 21st, and the city will be divided into two portions. And we're sending out an announcement via the government channel, as well as in the local newspapers, on the routes that will be taken on each given night. And it will last approximately 3 hours in length, and we'll have about 3 to 4 emergency vehicles in the parade.
What's the route of the parade?
On December 20th, it'll be running from Barton to the north, Laurel Avenue to the east, to Beaumont Avenue on the south. And then on Monday the 21st, it'll be running from California to the east, Rosewood Drive to the north, and Anderson to the west, and everything's Barton to the south. The route itself, it's going to be a various route. You know, they'll travel down open streets. We won't be able to go down any cul-de-sacs, so we'll just be traveling up and down the through streets.
Sounds good.
And then they will use the silence, so you will hear them coming.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
the
we
reason
will-
to have it, right?
Can we outlaw any emergency calls during that time so you can continue?
Yeah, we'll maintain one engine from Loma Linda, and we can move a Colton engine over to backfill the station that will be out doing the parade. And then we'll also be utilizing volunteers coming in and driving the other emergency vehicles, so we're not taking all the emergency vehicles out of service.
Okay, good. Sounds good. Any other reports of staff, officers?
Don't forget the Christmas tree lighting is on December 7th, which is Monday night at 5.
December 7th.
A date that will live in infamy.
That's true.
Okay, the city council is adjourned, and we have 2 more agendas. We'll start with the successor agency to the Loma Linda RDA. Are there any items to be added or deleted?
No, sir.
Would the public like to speak on any non-agenda items? Seeing no takers, we go to the consent calendar.
Move it.
Okay, any discussion, any opposition? Hearing none, it's approved. We're adjourned.
Let me add one thing. Just a report,
Reports of
officer,
officers.
is that this afternoon we had a oversight board meeting that they review and approve the long-range property management plan that the city council approved at the last meeting. And so tomorrow we're going to submit all that to the State Department of Finance. So, and the deadline is the end of the year. So,
And if the state approves it, then we officially will receive the title to the fire station and some parks and things that are of city use, yeah, and conservation areas.
What time is the Christmas tree lighting?
At
You're not
dusk.
going to run out of cookies this year. I didn't get any cookies last year.
He's not going to buy any cookies this year.
And buy some more from Costco.
If we don't get that sewer rate increase, it's going to be lean times.
The tree will have one ornament.
Okay, the Loma Linda Housing Authority, are there any items to be added or deleted to that agenda?
no, sir.
Okay, would the public like to speak on the Housing Authority? No takers. Consent agenda, consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, discussion, opposition, none, disapproved. Any member reports? Any reports of officers? Then we're adjourned, and that's the end for tonight. Thank you for coming. Happy Thanksgiving to one and all.